forgot my AirPods, but that's okay. The phone should catch it. I almost didn't come live tonight. Almost didn't, which would be fine. But then I thought, nope. What do I have to do with it? Truly, what do I have to do with it? What do my tiredness or thinking I will go live tomorrow have to do with it? I truly don't understand. So yeah, here I am, day 10 of Lioness Portal Facebook Live Challenge. Yeah, so what am I here to talk about? Talking a little bit about what does it mean, the word resurrection. So this was a beautiful topic between me and Stacy, my sister, my lioness sister Stacy, the other day. We both were talking about what it means to live in La La Land and to wear rose-tinted glasses, rose-colored glasses, as well as resurrection. Her name, Stacy, actually means resurrection. And we decided to put these beautiful prompts on to go deeper in and to figure out, kind of unpack a little bit what it means. So, resurrection, yeah, I'll talk a little bit about it. I wanted to touch up a little bit about today. I had a beautiful spiral session with one of my incredible soul sister clients, which there was so much resistance coming up to this first session, not inner resistance, but like technology, the sacred technology resistance, the Wi-Fi and the devices and the times. And finally, when we got together, it was beautiful. Level 1 of the spiral, which is an incredible one-on-one mentorship modality of emotional clearing. So if you're familiar with emotional clearing, it happens through intentional practice, muscle testing, finding the elements, organs, and emotions trapped in a certain organ of our body, testing deeper into the root cause of the age at which this specific emotion anchored itself into our behaviors and the way we're able to take on the world, our actions, any aspects in our lives, and we go deeper into memories, and whatever comes up, we feel into the body, whatever is happening emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, energetically. We tap into this beautiful energy of the field, energy field, truly work of our highest self to unpack what is no longer working, unpack the old baggage, the old heavy weight, and to release some emotions that may have been trapped or are trapped. In level 1, we go through these really heavy emotions that hold many of us back, shame, guilt, and dogma. So shame, as we know, is like this crippling, toxic sense of unworthiness. And guilt is our sense of not living up to some morals or standards or some expectations. And then dogma is that rigid way of our thinking, rigid way of our perceived way of being, or something that's been taught to us that comes from our traditions, family, countries, societies, government, religion. So any of that, we clear true path for feeling deservedness in level 1. It's all about self-worth and knowing that you deserve simply because you are. And there's no shame. There's no shame in being who you are, no matter how you show up. Well, consciously, we want to awaken and reawaken our consciousness to be the organic, natural, neutral beings who are here to truly realize not only our self-worth, where we let go of shame and guilt and dogma, but we also are here to realize our drive, our purpose, what actions we must take, and how we can serve the world. You know, in this new life that we're all entering, and consciously or unconsciously, there's no more room for the false light. So anything that is old, that is not working, or is truly doesn't align with the divine is going to crumble. And through this work, through this spiral, we truly find our neutral way of being, where we can do this work with ease and grace simply by aligning to what is true and what is divine. And the spiral anchors our being into a life of purpose and of drive and of service, and however we can serve in the world. So it's very interesting, so many synchronicities today with the spiral level 1, which is it's, for me, that represents, and it goes so well with the element of the earth, with the north, with the winter. Tomorrow's winter solstice. The darkest night of the year is upon us. The world is truly still. I'm actually gonna go outside and be in the darkest night, in the longest night, in the point where the light is reborn. So the winter solstice, and I'm kind of jumping from one thing to another, the winter solstice is a powerful way to celebrate the light, to celebrate the rebirth of the light, the resurrection of the light. And this is what the topic today is about, to resurrect. We resurrect from the earth, from the darkest night. We resurrect, like even in the spiral, when we go into level 1, it's like these really heavy and heaviest emotions on the scale of consciousness. Shame, there's nothing. Shame is the lowest vibrational frequency on the scale of consciousness. It is the most unworthy sense within us. So if you've ever felt unworthy, you will know what it means. And I feel like all of us as humanity have experienced this sense of unworthiness at one point in our lives. So being reborn, being resurrected as the light, you know, in the ancient traditions, winter solstice was about honoring the sun, as the sun is reborn symbolically with the new day after winter solstice, when the day begins to grow. A little by little every day now, we're returning back to the fullness of the light. So somewhere in between winter solstice and summer solstice, there's also spring equinox. And that's when the light and the dark are equal. The night and the day are equal. And then it grows, the light continues to grow into summer solstice, when there is the longest day of the year and the shortest night. So the darkness is very short. So we can watch the nature and the seasons, and we can honor and remember and celebrate the natural ways of the world and of the earth, and we can remember this through our DNA in our cells, and remember the traditions of our ancestors wherever you come from. What I also was feeling to talk today about is the darkest night of the year, and how sometimes it also so symbolic with the darkest night of the soul. There is a beautiful heroine's journey about two sisters, Inanna and Ereshkigal. I'm very close to these stories, and if you are around some of my teachings, especially with the shadow work, and you will know that this is the story I often resonate with so much. Inanna and Ereshkigal. Inanna is the light sister. She is the sister morning star, and she's the goddess of heaven and earth, and her heart is broken. And so she goes to visit her dark sister, Ereshkigal, deep in the underworld, who is the queen of the underworld, or the queen of death. And as Inanna goes down to visit her sister, there is 7 temples on the way down into the underworld. And at each temple, Inanna offers one of her items, one of her jewels, one of her offerings, one of her gifts, or one of her old stories, or the patterns, or just like we let go of shame and guilt and dogma. On the way down, Inanna lets go. My cat is over here, and I'm rubbing his belly, and he's so cute. Maybe I'll show you. Anyway, I can't show you. And so as she goes down, she surrenders at each gate more of herself and more of who she is not, so that when she gets to the bottom, she's completely hollow and naked, and there's nothing on her. And she's given all that she had on her in the symbolic way of surrendering completely and going into the darkest night of the soul with nothing on you. And so as soon as she meets her sister Ereshkigal, her other half, if you think about it, they're both parts of who we are, the dark and the light. Without each other, they don't exist. They're two sides of the same coin. And as Inanna reaches the very bottom of the staircase into the underworld, her dark sister meets her, and with one gaze, Inanna is dead. So this darkness kills the light, and the light goes into the 3 days of the darkness. It's so symbolic to so many stories and myths throughout history, and they resonate within each one of us, as collectively we're all connected to this, to the stars. We're all made of stars. I mean, come on. And so when we are dead in the dark for 3 days, as Inanna hanging in the back on a meat hook, and Ereshkigal, this dark part of us, is wailing and crying and weeping, and the whole world above is feeling this grief and the pain that Ereshkigal is feeling for all of the world, and for Inanna, which is her own light part of her soul. And as she's crying and weeping and grieving, there's also these 2 little beings that are mourning with her, with the utmost empathy and sympathy. And anyway, from that genuine concern and sympathy and grieving from these 2 little beings, Ereshkigal is touched and her heart is softened, and she asks them, "What would you like as a gift?" and they only want Inanna's body. And eventually she gives it to them after offering them many other beautiful offerings of the land, of the waters, of the seed and the water of life, and they just want the body. And those two little beings, they are those parts of us that have the empathy and the compassion and the true, genuine, empathic, empowered part of us that is there to save us from the darkness, to save us from our own heartbreak, wherever we may be, against our will, or and and so eventually she gives them the light. She gives them Inanna, which is the light within our heart, our soul. And the light, again, comes back to life, a resurrection of the light, or the rebirth of the light. And another incredible thing in this story, that Ereshkigal, when she's crying and weeping, she's also giving birth. And she's crying and weeping in the childbirth, through the pain and the agony of giving birth to her own soul. And therefore the soul is reborn as light, and it begins to rise back up through those 7 gates. And at each gate the light picks up an offering that the light surrendered, but except now it's more aware and conscious and empowered and true and authentic and honest and in true devotion to the divine, to serve the divine, to do the good in the world, to not only worry about our own broken hearts, but also about broken hearts of humanity on every level. And in that moment, when the soul is reborn and resurrected, we begin the true work of our purpose and the true work of what we came here to bring and to deliver. And as we rise above, as the light, our wounds are healed, but yet we carry scars. And resurrection, as we know, is such an incredible symbolic way of rebirth, of this light, of the sun on the winter solstice morning that is now also been celebrated for the past 2,000 years, the birth of Christ. And as we connect to that story, the birth of Christ, we can connect to our own highest Christ consciousness, the masculine, and the Christ Sophia consciousness of the feminine, of the Holy Mother and the Holy Father, the heaven and the earth. And we connect to that resurrection. And we have the wounds on our hands and feet, those symbolic wounds of our soul that we were able to heal and return, and to show them to the world, so that the world can now heal, and the world can now see and touch and feel what we've undergone, each one of us. We can show that we can all be reborn, and our souls can be resurrected from this darkness, consciously now aligned and aware, understanding the source existence of our being, and what it means to love, and what it means to align with the divine source, and with that powerful rebirth from the dark as the light. And yeah, to become that union within ourselves between the darkness and the light, and to stand in our truth, to stand in service. This is what it's all about. It is not about the service to self, it is about the service to humanity, the service to others. Have undergone this powerful journey through pain and suffering and death, and then being so genuinely empathic to the wounds and the death, so that we are actually able to be reborn again and resurrect and come back to the light, carrying this deep wisdom of the darkness within. And then the darkness that is not bad and not evil, but it's nurturing and nourishing, just like the muddy waters that nurture the beautiful blossoming lotus, pure and whole and holy. And so this is what's coming up for resurrection. I'm feeling that from deep within the darkness of this night of winter solstice. And may we all release in this darkness the ignorance and the conditioning and the old stories of any dogma, of any shame, of any guilt. And if spiral is something that sounds good to you, please message me and let me know. And I would love to tell you more. It's a very powerful, powerful work to free yourself from any conditioning of the mind, of the stories, of the emotions that keep us and prevent us from living our life fully as what we were meant to do and to live and to bring into the world. So I think that's my resurrection transmission with a couple of different stories. Maybe maybe it resurrects your soul. What I meant to say, maybe it resonates with your soul, but also this is what we want. And the resurrection of the soul may also happen on a daily, continuously resurrecting the light within you, no matter how dark each day may appear. So just remembering to offer all that no longer serves at each gateway, at each threshold, trusting the journey, trusting the divine, trusting in the light to be reborn again time after time. So thank you very much for tuning in. Let me know how this feels for you, if it resonated for you, and leave me a heart. And I will catch you again soon. May all of our practices, all that we do, all that we say, all of our actions truly benefit all of humanity. Many blessings.